Well, it's Monday morning here now, and as you can see, there's a little bit of sunshine coming in. Anyway, this is my new indicator stock, ordered from AliExpress. Actually arrived yesterday. I don't know if anybody else has problems with Every, but I find Every as a parcel delivery company is pretty inconsistent now. It used to be very good, but I used to read about people complaining about how bad Every was, but never had a problem here. But this had been, I think, sitting at the depot for about 3 days before it actually got on its merry way down here. So you've got this well, Chinese replacement indicator stock, and the reason I've ordered this is because of the fog light switch. Excuse me. So everything was working fine with my car. The rear fogs were working okay, but whenever I flicked it on for the I think it was the green indicator on the dash, they wouldn't come on. The rears would come on fine. But so anyway, this is a replacement one. The thing I noticed is slightly different. It says auto there. I don't think it says auto on mine, so hopefully that won't be a problem. I think it's fair to say it feels like it's a cheaper quality. The movement there, I don't know if it's because it's brand new, but the movement definitely feels rougher. But then again, my car does have almost 204,000 miles on it. Yeah, it doesn't feel quite as refined, I would say. Flash, yeah, there's a definite roughness to that, I would say. But anyway, it was under £20 delivered, brand new, so I thought, well, it's worth giving it a go. So that's what it looks like on the back. There's the connector. So the next thing I'm going to do, well, I'm actually going to have a cup of coffee first, but the next thing I'm going to do after coffee is head out to the car and disconnect the battery and remove the airbag and the steering wheel in order to replace this. And at the same time, I'll be installing two new, they're supposed to be H27s, but it says, where is it on there? There you go. They're 880s. So there seems to be an 880 and an 881. So these ones, when I ordered, I just saw H27. And I thought, well, there's only one H27. But from what I'm guessing, there's an H27 that has the right angle down here, which is actually the type of bulb that I've got fitted at the moment. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking from memory that looks like it's the same locking mechanism on it, and it looks like it's the same connector. So instead of having my cable coming in like that, I'm assuming it's going to come in like that. I don't know if that's going to be a problem, but anyway, I'll find out. So if you're ordering H27 bulbs, be aware that there are two different types. That's something that's an education for me. I just thought, well, H27's an H27. Apparently not. So there you go. So that's enough waffling for me for now. Well, here we are. It's Monday, and I'm going to see about replacing the indicator stock, because this switch seems to have gone wrong. You see how that kind of moves? I don't think it's supposed to do that. But anyway, I found that this is the new one, by the way. So you just saw me take that out of the box. The only difference to say I can see is it's got this thing which says auto. It doesn't say auto on here, but these are auto lights. So the first thing I'm going to do is pop the bonnet, pop the hood, depending on where you come from, disconnect the battery, because I'm going to be taking the airbag out, and I don't want anything to go wrong there. I would guess if you have the ignition turned off, it probably wouldn't be an issue, but you know, safety first, and I'd rather not have to replace an airbag if something does go wrong. So first thing, get the bonnet lifted up and disconnect the negative terminal from the battery. Alright, so I've got the bonnet up, got my 10mm socket, Uzi 10mm. Just going to slacken that. Don't need to do much. And then remove the terminal. I should probably do that with two hands actually. Alright, so the 10mm socket was used to undo the ball. I've lifted it up. I've just put a block of wood there in case for some reason that pings back. Don't think it will, but that's what I've done there. So now to go into the car. Alright, so I'm in the car. There's going to be a Torx screw there, which holds the airbag on. And then there's another Torx screw here. That's going to hold the airbag on as well. So that's the next step. I've got the wheels roughly straight, but as you can see my wheel isn't entirely straight here. But I know the angle it's at and I'm going to mark it on the spline. I'll just use a dot with a pen so I know exactly where it is. So I've got a set of Torx drivers. I'm going to get the correct one out. I don't know if it's a T20 or T25, but I'll soon find out. So this one just fitted. It's T30. You see this, the circular part there? T30. So that just heads in there, goes in, and then you just turn it out. And then once you've turned it out, it'll become loose. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Well, I don't know if I just got lucky there or not, but I used the T30 to take out the left hand side. It wouldn't fit on the right hand side, and I used a T40, as you can see there. So maybe I just got lucky and that managed to slacken it off. But it was definitely a T40 for the right hand side, so it's probably T40. But anyway, you saw what I did there. Alright, I'm sitting on my fat bum again. So that's this loose, so it's loose there and there. So we'll kind of lift that up gingerly. So as you can see, we have a connector here. There's some wiring for the steering wheel controls there, the white connector. So the first thing to do is to pop out that center section, the yellow part, which is like a locking tab, and then the black part should come off the airbag. So I'm going to pop this part out, and then I'm going to pull the whole connector off. Right, here's a better view. This part of the cable was retained here, and it's very restrictive, the movement. So if you gently pull that out of there, that'll give you more room to get this round. So I'm basically going to put a flathead screwdriver in there and just lever this up gently, of course. And then once that's done, it should just come off. Right, so I've popped that up fully. You can see the distance. I just used a very small flat bladed screwdriver in there, popped it up, and I pulled the rest up with my fingers. And then once you've got it fully up, that should have this black connector unlocked. Then you can put the airbag to one side. Right, that's that removed. It was actually on a bit tighter than I would have expected, but anyway, a bit of wiggling, a bit of fiddling and pulling, and then eventually it popped off. But yeah, it didn't just fall out, so be prepared for that. And again, make sure you don't damage this connector, otherwise it'll be a rather expensive problem. But anyway, that's off. I shall just put that in the back of the car. That's that done. So the next thing will be to take this nut off. I think it's a 21, but let's find out. Well, in actual fact, it's not a 21, it's a 22. Yep. And it's quite well chilled as well. So there you go. if that's focusing. 22mm nut. So I'm going to get my socket set, my socket wrench onto that, lefty loosey, and take the nut mostly off. In fact, I'll take it completely off first and I'll put it back on, because I'm going to mark the position of the steering wheel relative to the splines on the shaft. Alright, so that's the bolt and the washer that was behind it. There's a black mark there, and if I go through the dot in the middle, I've made a little sort of scribe mark. I think I need to turn the flashlight on, or the torch on, but anyway, just at the end of that screwdriver I've put a little scribe mark to line that up when I put the wheel back on. Right, so I've wiggled this, and it's now, it will come off. You just, if you're having a problem, you just say put the nut back on partially and just pull and pull, alternate, you know, pulling, pushing, and then it should come off fairly easily. Unless it's been a gorilla that's tightened this down at the factory. But so the next thing is, obviously there's a negative there, and then there is this little connector which presumably I push in, wiggle it out. So that's the steering wheel disconnected. So this should all come off from right, so that's one wheel off, one wheel removed. So now we've got this clock spring. Right, I don't really want to do much with that. So I've got a screw there and a screw here, and I'm guessing there's probably, yeah, there's one I think just here by my finger. That should give me access to this area, hopefully. Right, so I've undone the screw. There's 3 screws. I've just popped it down, popped it up. Now I've got to figure out how to take the clock spring off. I've just left the shrouds in place, so that lifts up. There is a clip there and a clip there, a clip here. The most sort of snaggy part of it was round about the ignition. So anyway, you just move it to the kind of side and then it'll come apart fairly easily. So yeah, I just need to have a quick check of how to get this clock spring off. I suspect it'll be clips. Looks like something there, maybe something there, but I'll soon find out. Alright, so there's a little clip here, you just lift it up, so that's the, you lift that bit up, that's the top done, and then it looks like you'll put a flat blade screwdriver in there, bring that one out, and then a flat blade screwdriver in there. So let's just check. Right, so there's a clip here at the top, just pull that up, and then that's that up, and then I think, yeah, there's the clip there, bring that down, you can put your finger just on it. It's probably better to use something like a flat blade just to, that's it. So 3 points of contact, 1 at the top and 2 at the bottom. So that is, that was round there. So that's that. So I'm just going to gently bring that over and leave it about there. So it looks like now, obviously I've got a connector there, and no doubt there'll be one somewhere else, but anyway, there's going to be a Phillips screw there and a Phillips screw there. So far it's not going too badly. How do you get that one off? Push that in. Okay, push it in, comes off. Now before I go any further, I'll just have a quick look. Does that look the same? It looks broadly similar. Maybe some slight casting details that are different. Yeah, so anyway, I'll get the Phillips screwdriver into these two and see if it just comes out. So there's definitely a connector there. Not sure if that's a wire cable going to it. But anyway, once I get these two screws out, we'll see what we're looking at. Well, as I suspected, there was another connector there. You just push the little trigger at the top. So the trigger's at the top there, and the trigger was at the bottom here. So that's that off. So let's see what we've got. So this part, I think, has to come out and then slide off. So I think it's going to be a case of pushing something maybe there and then slipping out. Right, let's give that a go. Yeah, that's really easy to do. I'll try and do it while looking at the... There you go, see how it moved? And then it should just slip out. There we go. So that's your wiper assembly. Right. So this is the one that seems to be goosed. I don't know if there's any way of disassembling this. Right, so I've reassembled the indicator and the wiper stalks. I've put it back on, so that's where the screw's going to go. The screw's going to go here as well. I've connected the connector there, and I've connected the connector here. So far, so good. Alright, so that's the top screw in, the bottom screw in. I don't know if it's just psychological or not, but that definitely feels like a bit of a rougher movement. But the main thing is going to be if the fog lights start working again. So anyway, that's that. Next thing to do is to put this clock spring assembly back on. Right, so that went on easily enough. So you just push it there, and basically just push it at the top till it clicks into place with this clip here. So that's fine. So I guess the next step is to reintroduce the shrouds to each other. And once I've done that, fit the wheel and then bring the airbag connector through. So anyway, I'm going to put these back together. Well, two-handed, that's not a problem at all. Just make sure you slip it over here first. That's a bit of the sort of pain in the bum. Get it over that. Once it's over that, it lines up there, no problem. And then pull this down, hands, fingers each side, snap it together. So I'm now going to put a Phillips screw there, a Phillips screw here, and then one just where my finger is there. Alright, so that's these screws in, 3 of them in. Yeah, I'm not... It does feel rougher, but the main thing is that it works. So anyway, next thing to do is get the wheel on. So I think that's roughly in the position it was, and then I'm going to have to line up the wheel between that little indent and the black mark. So before I put the wheel on, there's the Torx screws. in there. So I don't know if there were two different sizes, but anyway, when I put it back on, I'll let you know. So anyway, I'm assuming they're going to be both T40s. Alright, so as far as I can tell, that's in the same position. I've pushed in that connector, and I'm going to put this negative terminal back on, or ground back on. And then the next thing is to connect the airbag. So the next thing is put the washer and the nut back on and tighten it up. Okay, so I've put the connector back in first, then I've pushed the locking tab down. I've also put the cable back in there, and then it's a case of turning this round, putting it roughly into place, and then going around to the sides and securing the airbag to the steering wheel again. So I'll do that, and I'll use the T40. Alright, so that's the Torx T40 bolts or screws tightened up. You will find that it just feels like it's loosely turning. It's not until the very end we just get a slight turn to tighten them up. But yeah, that should be, it feels fine. So next thing to do is reconnect the battery. Well, that's the negative terminal all put back together. So let's see. Now, as far as I'm aware, one of these bulbs is blown. I think it's this one. So this one presumably will still work. Fingers crossed. Right, I've turned everything on. I've got the lights on. So there's beam. I'll put it on dip. I'm now going to turn on, hopefully you can see both there. I'm going to turn on the fog lights. So the green ones come on. That was one I had a problem with. Turn it again. The rear fog lights have come on. So I'm going to get out, double check that my rear fog light is on. Yeah, rear fog light is on. So I've got both lights on the dash. And I've no fog lights at the front. So maybe both the bulbs have gone. The other thing that's popped up is this ESC light, or whatever it is, stability control. That'll go off after turning the wheel a certain number of directions. So fog light off, you push that forward to turn that off, you turn it back to turn that one off. Now I'm going to put it onto auto lights. Now when I turn the key off, the light should stay on and then turn off. So the lights are definitely off. Put the key in. Lights are on. So that's working as far as I can tell. I'll need to make sure the indicators work. So indicators working okay there. Indicators working fine there. Alright, so I'm going to test this bulb, see what it's like. Can you see that? Yeah. Well, it looks pretty bright, I'll be honest about that. So that one's okay. Let's check this one. Stuff that down in there. Yeah, so both of these bulbs are working. So that's the next step. Get the front of the car jacked up and change the bulbs. Well, hopefully these 880 bulbs are going to fit. Where it was, when I was thinking it was going to be an H27 right angled bulb. So anyway, soon to find out just now. So I shall take that terminal off and get outside. Right, so I've got the car jacked up. And then there's the connector. I haven't actually even done that up. So I'm going to take this bulb out. This is one that should be working. And I'm just going to attach the new H27 bulb onto that, see if it works. So this is the shape of bulb I was expecting, but it's not the one that I've received. But I think, as far as I'm aware, the terminals are going to be the same. So anyway, I'm going to take the other bulb out and just compare it. Right, so there we go. So it looks like it's the same connector, as far as I can tell anyway. So it should fit on physically. What does it look like there and there? Yeah, it's the same fitment. So anyway, I'll fish that in and I'll connect the connector up and see if it lights up. Right, so I've noticed the difference between an H27 and an 880. It's got clips there and there. This one has a nib there, but no clips on the side. So I think what I need to do is trim that off and then put it on the connector. So I'm going to try that. Well, I have failed to get that LED to work, so I've just put the regular incandescent bulb back in. I'm going to see if I've still got the other one, but no, I've tried pushing it in. Doesn't seem to make a connection for whatever reason. Not sure why. I'll have another look at it. Right, I've figured it out. So you see that divider there? That's to separate the negative and the positive. So on the car, the right hand side of that little divider there is positive, but it needs to be negative. So I've just tested that out with the battery and it lights up fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that divider out and see if that makes any difference. I mean, these bulbs are, well, they were a £5, but I'll try cutting it out and see what happens. Alright, so I've removed that divider and I've left it open, so I'll see if it works in the holder now. Well, I'll be honest, I can hardly see the bloody camera now, so that has worked. I have now got the, well, that's handy. The flash is not come on. Right, there we go. So that's now screwed into place. That connector's put on as far as it can. I'll just end up ordering some actual 90-degree H27 bulbs. I'll need to get the 881 variant. So it's going to be a case of modifying the bulb to make it fit. But anyway, yeah, that's good. So one down, next one to go. Alright, so here we go again. So on the 880, the terminal to the right of that divider, with the divider at the top, is negative. It needs to be positive. So I'm going to use a Stanley blade, cut down the side of that divider, give it a twist and then pop it off, and then it should fit. So I'm going to do the other side, the driver's side, next. Right, so I've undone the two retainers, got two retaining bolts, fasteners there, somewhere. Yeah, there. There's one there. So I've taken the there's the existing one. So I'm going to take that out I'm going to put the new one in there. Well, everything has been put back together. Fog lights are working fine. No complaints there. But big tip would be, make sure you don't buy the 880 version. So rear one on, turn off, turn off. So that should be that. So, job done. Time to bring the car down off the jack. That gives you enough room. As I say, other sources of information say you've got to take this inner wing off. You don't have to do that. So the thing I've got to do next, as I say, is just put those retaining clips back in, and that's it. So if you've got any questions, feel free to ask, and please feel free to like and subscribe. Cheers, hope you have a good day. I've actually managed to beat the rain. Well, I've not missed the rain now, but anyway, here's a nighttime shot of the fog lights. So they're definitely putting a bit of light down. I wouldn't say they're blinding or anything, but yeah, they're definitely putting light out. They're bright to look at, not overly so, but seems to be okay. It's not pitch black here, but yeah, I don't know how good they'll be out on the open road. I'll do a test at some point. Anyway, I will definitely order some proper 90-degree bulbs. So that'll be the 881, I think it is. 827 anyway, but it needs to be the right angle. It'll be a better long-term prospect. So anyway, back into the house.